First story. I dated and remarried 2 months after my wife of 25 years finally died. I sold her house to buy a bike and clear my loans, but my entitled stepkids stole all my inheritance. I demanded they give up their inheritance for taking care of their vegetable mom, and then uninvited them from my wedding. Now my own bio son betrayed me, choosing his ungrateful step-siblings. I lost my bike and house, and my new wife divorced me. Throwaway because my oldest stepson reads Reddit. And I'm not dealing with another family intervention over something I wrote online. About a year ago, my wife, Ellen 60F, passed away after a short, brutal 8-month battle with cancer. We were married for 25 years. She had 3 kids from a previous marriage: Sarah 42F, Emily 40F, and Adam 39M. I 52M came into their lives when they were still in school, and I was always there. Their biological father was barely around. Never paid child support, never called on birthdays. I was the one who paid for Sarah's braces, Emily's community college, and Adam's Dewey lawyer. I raised them like my own. Ellen and I also had one son together, Daniel 25M, who's been the only one acting like I matter in the past year. But even he's turning on me now. Ellen's illness drained everything from me. Emotionally, sure, but also financially. She wasn't working the last few years, and even before the cancer, she was. Not exactly the partner I married. I was still working full-time, and she was basically confined to the bedroom most days. I'd come home to silence. No dinner, no conversation. Just meds, silence, and guilt. And when the cancer diagnosis came, it was like a death sentence I wasn't allowed to talk about. She refused hospice until the last second. So I was the nurse, the cook, the errand boy, and the emotional punching bag. I sold my SUV to cover bills. I dipped into my 401k. I maxed out credit cards to pay for chemo that wasn't even working. I felt like I was watching my bank account die faster than she was. It got to the point where every beep of the medical machine just felt like another invoice in the mail. I know that sounds cold. I loved Ellen. But towards the end, it was like I was married to a ghost that wouldn't pass on. And yeah, when she finally did, I cried. But I also felt like I could breathe again. That's something I've never said out loud, not even to Daniel. I met Carol 49F 2 months after Ellen passed. She was smart, fun, and grounded. Independent. She had her own house and her own career, and she wasn't lying in bed waiting to die. We started dating casually, but things moved fast. I think I needed someone who could carry a conversation and laugh again, not whisper about wills and pain meds. We got married a few months ago. Once it became clear I was going to move into Carol's house permanently, I made the decision to sell Ellen's old house. It was never technically ours. It had been in her name originally, from her first marriage, but we'd both lived in it together for over 2 decades, and I'd put a lot of money into the place over the years. Thousands were spent before and after her death getting it market ready. I handled all the paperwork, coordinated the renovations, and dealt with realtors. Her kids didn't lift a finger. Before packing up, I sent a group message to all the kids: Sarah, Emily, Adam, and Daniel, letting them know I was going to start clearing things out. And if there was anything sentimental they wanted, they could come by or let me know. No one responded except Daniel, who came by to grab a couple photo albums and one of his mom's sweaters. The others either ignored me or sent vague, "Nothing I need, thanks" texts. I took that at face value. I didn't push. I figured they were still grieving, or maybe just distancing themselves from me since I'd moved on too fast in their eyes. Fast forward a couple of months, I find a buyer. It's one of those house flipping companies that makes cash offers, no inspections, and quick closes. Perfect for me, because I needed the money. I'm still in debt. My credit is wrecked. I just bought a used Harley I'd been dreaming about for 10 years, thinking the sale would let me pay it off and clear my credit cards. I was finally looking forward to a clean slate. Closing day comes, and out of nowhere the lender tells me there's a snag. Apparently, Sarah had sent them an email claiming she had been reading about our state's inheritance laws and was questioning whether I even had the legal right to sell without consulting Ellen's biological children. I thought it was a joke. But no, turns out she was right. Because I wasn't legally their father, and because the house was initially in Ellen's name alone. The law in our state says her biological heirs are entitled to a portion of the proceeds unless there's a specific will stating otherwise. Ellen never updated the will after we got married. So now the money from the sale has to be split 4 ways, 1 share for each of her kids. I'm completely effed. I had poured money into that house. I had assumed the responsibility of ownership and upkeep for 25 years. Sarah didn't care when the roof was leaking. Emily didn't Venmo me when the kitchen pipes exploded. Adam didn't help clear the black mold from the basement. I handled all of that. And they want to show up now like goddamn vultures after she's gone and demand their cut. They say Sarah was just asking questions and didn't mean to cause problems. But let's not be idiots. She sent the email on closing day. Not weeks before. Not when I announced I was selling. That timing wasn't innocent. That was a deliberate move to tank the deal unless she and her siblings got their payday. They knew what they were doing. Carol told me I should try to keep the peace, but I was furious. I felt like I'd been stabbed in the back by the people I practically raised. People I'd thought of as my own. I could have contested it, sure, but that would have taken months and cost more legal fees I didn't have. So I gave in. I sold the house, and the profit got split 4 ways. Theirs came out to just under $40,000 each. Meanwhile, I'm still paying off the debt from Ellen's medical bills and have to consider selling the bike I've had for 6 damn weeks. I thought maybe they'd reach out to say thanks. Nope. Radio silence. Like they got what they wanted and were done with me. The wedding to Carol was scheduled for the weekend after the anniversary of Ellen's funeral. That wasn't intentional. It was just when the venue was available. Daniel was hesitant about the date, but didn't say much at first. I figured he'd come around. But after the house sale fiasco, I woke up one morning and sent a group text to Sarah, Emily, and Adam. I told them that since they'd been reading up on state law, I had too, and it turns out I'm not their legal father. So maybe they should work on a relationship with the one who actually is. I said they weren't welcome at the wedding. I didn't expect a thank you for raising them, but I also didn't expect the meltdown that followed. Within an hour, Emily called Daniel crying. Adam sent some long paragraph about betrayal and family bonds, like he hadn't just taken $40,000 from me. Sarah tried calling too, but I blocked her before the first ring finished. I meant every word. If they want to draw hard legal lines, then fine, I can draw them too. They had no problem reminding me I'm not their father when it benefits them. So why is it suddenly cruel when I say it back? Daniel showed up to my house that afternoon furious. I've rarely seen him this mad, not even when he was a teenager. He was shaking. He asked how I could talk to his siblings like that. Funny how fast the loyalty shifts when money is involved. I told him very plainly. They took advantage of me. They blindsided me. They cost me the money your mother and I worked for. I reacted accordingly. He said they didn't take advantage because the law was on their side. As if legality equals morality. Technically, your mother's illness bankrupting me was also legal, but that doesn't mean I deserved it. He asked why I threw the "I'm not your father" line at them when I always insisted I raised them as if I was. I told him raising someone and being legally recognized as their parent are 2 different things. If the first doesn't matter to them, why should it matter to me? I'm tired of being the only one who remembers everything I've sacrificed. He said they were hurt. That Sarah genuinely didn't know her question would trigger the lender to freeze the transaction. Right. Just like how she conveniently forgot to help clean out her mother's house. Forgot to ask about funeral costs. And forgot to check in on me even once after Ellen died. That woman remembers every scrap of state law, but can't remember basic decency. I don't buy it. Then he brought up the wedding. He said the date felt like a slap in the face. I told him the date meant nothing to me. The funeral wasn't the real loss. The day she died was what mattered. Everything after that was logistics. And yes, I said that out loud. And no, I didn't soften it. Somehow that was disrespectful and insensitive. He accused me of moving on too fast, which is ridiculous. I spent the better part of a decade dealing with a wife who was already half gone before she officially left. My grief was dragged out to the point where there was nothing left to mourn by the time she passed. According to him, that's a horrible thing to say. But it's the truth. I was drowning. No one cared about that part. I told him I wanted him to be my best man, and instead of being honored, he treated it like a burden. He said he wouldn't come unless I apologized to his siblings. Apologize? For what? For being angry. They sabotaged my financial future. For telling the truth. For finally putting boundaries in place after years of being walked over. I told him I'd think about it just to get him out of the house, but I had zero intention of doing anything. He texted me later that night saying he couldn't be part of a wedding built on running away from grief. Dramatic. If anything, I'm the one who deserves an apology for being abandoned by the very people I kept afloat for 2 decades. The weekend came. Wedding day. He didn't show. Carol kept glancing at the door like she expected him to come bursting through with some big emotional speech. But I knew he meant what he said. He's stubborn like his mother. Carol's family filled in the empty space fine. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't sting that my own son couldn't be bothered to attend. If anything, it proved my point. None of these kids ever actually saw what I did for the family. They were happy to reap the benefits: a roof over their head, rides to school, tuition payments, bail money. But the second something inconveniences them, I'm not the bad guy. And now, Daniel hasn't spoken to me since. He told Carol, not me, that he's too old to be navigating parental loyalty issues. That's his way of saying he chooses them. The same people who vanished while Ellen was dying, while I was taking on debt, while I was basically her only caretaker. The same people who let me drown financially, and then swooped in to take the one thing that could have stabilized my life. Carol keeps telling me to apologize. She says I should restore peace and try to reconnect. But peace is expensive, and I've already paid more than my share. If her kids had done to her what mine did to me, she wouldn't be preaching forgiveness. She doesn't say that out loud, but I can see it on her face. She married me because I'm responsible, not because I'm spineless. To be clear, I don't regret marrying Carol. She's level-headed, she works hard, and she's actually present in her own life. It's refreshing being with someone who isn't fading away slowly. But she doesn't get what it's like to support an entire household, just to end up with nothing. The more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that none of them ever actually saw me as family. I was a stand-in, a paycheck, a buffer between them and the consequences of their biological father's absence. And now that the one thing tying us together is gone, they're showing their true colors. If Sarah hadn't sent that email, I would have been fine. I would have paid off the medical debt, kept my motorcycle, rebuilt my credit, and started a new chapter with Carol without dragging the ghost of Ellen's finances into the marriage. Instead, I'm stuck picking up the pieces of a life I didn't break. I know for a fact that if the roles were reversed, if I had died, and they tried to sell something I left behind, none of them would have hesitated to cash in and cut Carol out without blinking. But because it's me, because I demanded a little respect for once, I'm the heartless one. So I'm here because everyone in my life is acting like I set the house on fire, instead of reacting to being ambushed by people who've taken me for granted for 25 years. I don't feel bad. I don't feel guilty. But apparently I'm missing empathy, or refusing to self-reflect, or whatever new therapy buzzword Daniel is clinging to. So tell me. Ada? Comments. Comment 1. YTA. Dude. You sound like you've been waiting for your wife to die. That entire post reads like someone who resented his wife the minute she stopped being useful to him. You're out here talking about her like she was dead before she even passed, and the way you framed your new marriage. She's not bedridden. Jesus. Also, let's be clear. Those 3 kids were your kids for 25 years. You parented them. You claim you raised them. You clearly took pride in that when it made you feel like the hero. But the minute they asserted a legal boundary that they were literally entitled to, you emotionally nuked the relationship. "You're not my kids" isn't just petty, it's a betrayal. If you thought you were their dad, you should have understood that a dad doesn't keep score. You don't parent people and then use receipts against them later. And Daniel, he's not picking sides. He's reacting to watching the man who raised him go full-on vindictive the second things didn't go his way. You're bitter. That bitterness was probably growing long before Ellen died. But that's your SHT to deal with, not theirs. Comment 2. The level of suppressed resentment bleeding through this post is wild. You didn't just lose a wife, you lost a carer role that you clearly never wanted. And you've been trying to retroactively justify your emotional detachment ever since. You describe Ellen like she was a burden you tolerated. There's no warmth, no grief, just contempt thinly veiled as duty. I don't think you ever forgave her for getting sick. And instead of processing that, you've dumped it all on her kids like they're avatars of your unresolved anger. Carol is a prop in your new life fantasy. She's not your partner, she's the reward for suffering through Ellen's decline. I wonder how long it will be before you start resenting her too, if she ever gets sick or stops being convenient. You're not just an RC hole. You're a cautionary tale for what happens when people do the right things for the wrong reasons for too long. You kept score in silence for 25 years, and then exploded when the scoreboard didn't come out in your favor. Ellen's kids didn't kneecap you. You just finally ran out of control. Comment 3. YTA. But he had to sell his brand new motorcycle. He just bought it. His dream bike. How could those evil, selfish children of his dead wife legally inherit something from their actual mother? The horror. Perez. Let's get real. You tried to disinherit your late wife's kids, didn't bother checking the legal ownership of the house, and when the law didn't bend in your favor, you decided to go nuclear. You told the kids you raised their whole lives that you're not their dad over a house sale. You didn't just burn the bridge, you salted the damn earth. And then you tried to throw a wedding a week after the anniversary of your wife's funeral, and are now playing the victim because your son told you to kick rocks. Get real. Of course he's pissed. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. You can keep pretending like this was all about betrayal. But the only betrayal here is you abandoning the family you helped raise, because you didn't like that they had rights you failed to plan for. YTA. YTA for the tantrum. YTF for the disowning. And YTF for thinking any of this makes you a victim. Grow up. Update. Well, I guess this is what rock bottom looks like. Things haven't exactly gotten better since my last post. I'm in debt, under investigation at work, possibly about to get sued, and separated from my wife again. It started when I found a letter from Ellen while clearing out some old folders. It was tucked between insurance paperwork and expired medical receipts. Dated a few weeks before she passed. It was addressed to my kids. I didn't read the whole thing at first. I was shaking too hard. But when I finally did, I saw that she wrote in her own handwriting that she wished she had time to redo the will, that the house should go to her children, and that I had done enough, and they deserved something from her. She even thanked them for being understanding. Understanding of what? They barely visited her. I was the one wiping her mouth and cleaning up after the seizures. I was the one giving up sleep and meals and hope. That letter crushed something in me, and I didn't tell anyone about it. I shoved it in a drawer and let it sit. Then I made the mistake of writing Adam back. He'd sent me an email trying to understand. He said he wasn't angry, just disappointed, and wanted to know how we got to this place. I wrote back 4 paragraphs. I told him about the money I spent, the hours I lost, and how I sacrificed the best years of my life. I told him I was loyal to a woman who couldn't love me anymore, and I stayed when I could have left. I told him he owed me not just morally, but financially. He sent back one line. Thanks for the clarity. I didn't realize he forwarded that email to his siblings until Daniel showed up again, this time with Ellen's sister. I hadn't seen that woman since the funeral. She never liked me. Always gave me the side eye when I tried to hold Ellen's hand or make a joke. Treated me like I was just waiting for Ellen to die, so I could run off and start over. Like she had some psychic read on me. She came in with this condescending look, and before I could even speak, she said, "You read the letter, didn't you?" I must have gone pale. I asked what she meant, and she said Ellen had asked her to deliver a copy to the kids if she didn't make it. Said she had a feeling I'd bury it if I found it first. I had no words. I simply walked into my bedroom and locked the door. Carol was there for all of it. She didn't say much. Just sat on the couch watching everything fall apart. The next day, she packed a bag. She said she needed space. Said she didn't sign up to be the punching bag in some unresolved war between a dead woman's family and a man who clearly hadn't grieved anything properly. She said I was stuck in a place between resentment and fantasy, and I had no idea what the hell that even meant. I asked if this was really about the kids, or if she just couldn't handle the fact that I was angry at Ellen. She didn't answer. Just left. I tried to hold it together at work, but I guess I wasn't hiding it well. I snapped when a younger coworker joked that I was going full boomer mode. I grabbed him. Not proud of it. Just one hand around the collar, barely touching his neck, but he made a scene like I strangled him. HR sent me home pending review. I might lose the job. Probably will. At this point, I don't even care. That same night, I wrote an email to all 4 kids. I told them I was done being the ATM. That they owed me. For the roof I paid for. For the bills. For the food in their mouths and the clothes on their backs. For every doctor appointment and court fee. For standing by their mother when she turned into a vegetable who couldn't hold a conversation, who couldn't meet my needs, who left me alone in my own home for years. I told them I wanted half of the inheritance they'd taken. That was only fair. Reimbursement for services rendered. And if they refused, I said I'd see them in court. Not just over the house, but emotional damages. Defamation. Whatever my lawyer could make stick. I wrote that they ruined my marriage, sabotaged my financial future, and left me with nothing but debt and trauma. I wrote that I deserved peace. I deserved my life back. And I deserved better than to be treated like some disposable caretaker they could forget about the second Mom died. Emily replied first. One sentence. Don't ever contact me again. Sarah followed with a full page about emotional abuse. Adam didn't respond. Daniel blocked my number. Now I'm getting lawyer letters. Carol won't talk to me. She's still in her house and says she needs distance to decide if this is something she can live with. I know what that means. It means she's already out. I can't sleep. I'm back on antacids, barely eating. My debt is swallowing me whole. I've started selling off tools, furniture, anything that isn't nailed down. I thought about selling the Harley, but I already hawked it last month. It barely dented the credit card. And everyone keeps acting like I'm the monster here. For what? Not rolling over. For telling the truth. For standing up for myself. I'm not a arsehole. I was a husband. I was a father. I was there. While they were off living their lives, I was the one on the bathroom floor with Ellen, cleaning up the aftermath of chemo. And what do I get? Silence. Accusations. Estrangement. I'm 52, and I feel 80. I just want to retire and live a quiet life. I want to sit in a chair without wondering who's going to come for me next. But these entitled people, they can't stand the idea that I might actually be happy again. That I might deserve a break. So now I'm here, back on Reddit, wondering how the hell I became the bad guy after I gave them nothing but loyalty and sacrifice. Maybe I lost my temper. Maybe I said some things too sharply. But I didn't lie. I didn't manipulate. I just asked for what was mine. Tell me, was I really so wrong? Comments. Comment 1. YTA. Your entire update reads like someone who is on the verge of a full-scale breakdown and trying to drag everyone else into the crater with him. Let's talk logistics, not emotions. The house money was never yours. Legally, financially, structurally, it wasn't. You never added your name to the deed. You never had your wife update her will. You never protected your investment. Basic estate planning. You skipped it. You spent money on the kids voluntarily. You were not legally obligated to pay for braces, tuition, DUIs, etc. You chose to. You don't get retroactive reimbursement because you're salty now. Your financial crisis is self-inflicted. Medical debt. You chose aggressive treatments she didn't even want at first. Retirement withdrawals. That's on you. Buying a Harley while drowning in debt. Also on you. Threatening lawsuits you can't afford is not leverage. It's comedy. Dark comedy, but still comedy. You're not being persecuted. You're dealing with the consequences of poor financial planning mixed with emotional avoidance. And your kids aren't entitled, they're legally protected. Comment 2. I took care of my mother for 2 years while she was dying. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't romantic. It was terrifying and humiliating and exhausting for everyone. But your language around Ellen is disturbing. You talk about her like she was a broken appliance you had to keep fixing until you could finally upgrade. She didn't meet my needs. She was basically a vegetable. She couldn't hold a conversation. She repaid me with debt. Do you hear yourself? She wasn't failing you. She was dying. And here's what really breaks me. You think her kids abandoned her because they didn't move in and do 24/7's hospice care. Do you know how common it is for dying parents to hide symptoms from their adult kids so they don't worry them? Do you know how many beg their children not to see them that way? You assume neglect because that fits your resentment better than accepting that Ellen didn't want her kids' last memories of her to be of a frail body and tubes. Your meltdown at work, the violence, the raging emails, the obsession with reimbursement, these aren't righteous anger. These are signs of someone drowning in unprocessed grief and guilt. Your kids didn't ruin your marriage, your finances, or your peace. Your inability to accept that caregiving is part of love. That's what blew up your life. Comment 3. Oh boo freaking who. You had to clean up after your sick wife and didn't get a gold star or a tax refund for it. So now you want reimbursement like she was a job you clocked in for. Guess what, champ, that's called marriage. You don't get to send her kids a damn invoice because she had cancer and didn't meet your needs while dying. Jesus Christ. You're 52. Acting like you're some broken war veteran of domestic life just because you had to be present for someone else's decline. That's what real love is, not this performative. Look how loyal I was while I secretly hated every second martyr crap you're peddling. You don't want peace. You want pity. But all you've earned is contempt. Update. I'm writing this because I literally have no one left to talk to. And Reddit strangers at least pretend to listen before calling me names. First, I got fired. HR emailed me saying the investigation was complete and that physical aggression in the workplace constitutes grounds for immediate termination. They included a line about safety concerns, which is ridiculous. I'm not some violent thug. I grabbed a coworker's collar for running his mouth and acting like I'm a joke. You push a man long enough, and he pushes back. That's how adults work. But apparently everyone at the office has decided I'm unstable. A couple of people even called security when I came to empty my desk. Like I'd snap and start throwing monitors. The humiliation was unreal. Then, 2 days later, Carol's lawyer emailed me divorce paperwork. There was some nonsense in there about irreconcilable emotional conflict, verbal hostility, and a breakdown of safety and trust. She didn't even bother explaining it to me directly. She changed the locks on her place and told my neighbor to tell me not to come by. She didn't even ask for anything, no assets, no money, she just wants out. I guess she realized she can't handle grief that isn't packaged neatly. Real life was too much for her. Meanwhile, my own lawyer quit. Sent me a formal letter saying he cannot ethically represent a client who continually disregards legal guidance and engages in inflammatory communication. He was referring to the email I sent the kids demanding reimbursement. Apparently threatening civil action while openly admitting emotional motives is problematic. Whatever. Attorneys are cowards when things get complicated. I'll find a better one. Except I probably can't afford one now, because with no job, I've missed 2 mortgage payments, and the bank sent a foreclosure warning. They strongly advised I contact a financial counselor. I'm not calling anyone. I know what the problem is. I wouldn't be in this situation if the kids hadn't gutted the sale profit. They say it wasn't theirs to give, but they had no problem taking it from me. Speaking of the kids, one of them, I assume Sarah, because she's the queen of passive-aggressive theatrics, filed for a restraining order. I was served at home at 7 a.m. like some criminal. The officer acted like he was doing me a favor by being calm and patient. The order covers all 3 stepkids and Daniel, even though I haven't contacted Daniel at all. It says I can't email them, text them, call them, or show up at any of their homes or workplaces. Violating it could mean jail. Daniel is officially no contact. He didn't call me, didn't text me. He had a lawyer send a letter 3 sentences long saying he wishes to terminate personal and familial communication. That's it. 25 years of being his father, gone in a form letter. And people call me cold. With everything falling apart, I tried to sell some belongings, tools, furniture, electronics to keep up with the mortgage. I put out a yard sale sign, and a neighbor walked by with her dog and gave me this pitying look like I was a wildlife rescue case. A couple strangers came through and lowballed me on everything. One guy pointed to my old lawnmower and said, $50, it barely runs. I almost told him to get off my property, but I needed the cash. The worst part, the house feels empty. Not just empty, hollow. Like no one has lived here, or ever will again. Everything echoes. Even the clock ticking sounds like it's mocking me. I kept hearing footsteps that weren't footsteps and voices that weren't voices. I barely sleep more than 3 hours. And then I found the letter again. I don't even remember taking it out of the drawer. It was just suddenly there on the kitchen table. I read it again, slowly this time. Every line cut deeper. Ellen wrote things like, I'm grateful for everything he has done, even if he doesn't always understand my choices. She thanked the kids for their patience. They barely checked in. I was the one losing sleep, losing money, and losing my sanity. What patience did they show? Then she wrote, I hope he forgives me someday for the burden I placed on him. Forgive her? For dying? For getting sick? For leaving me with debt? For leaving me with ungrateful children who think they're entitled to everything she owned? I read that line again and again until the ink blurred. I couldn't tell if it was the paper or my eyes. I said her name out loud. The house felt colder, and I swear, for a moment, I felt like she was in the room, not watching over me, not comforting me, but disappointed, like I'd failed some test. I don't know what to do with that. The thing is, I'm not a bad man. I stayed. I took care of her when everyone else lived their lives. I didn't cheat. I didn't bail. I didn't complain when the bills piled up. I didn't complain when she couldn't touch me, talk to me, or even look at me like she used to. I did everything right, and the universe still decided to kick me in the teeth. And now? I'm sitting in a house I'm about to lose, with no wife, no job, no kids, and no lawyer. The only thing I have left is a letter from a dead woman telling me she hoped I'd understand something I still don't understand at all. Everyone calls me selfish. Maybe I am. But I gave years of my life to people who repaid me by disappearing the second I asked for something back. Tell me again how I'm the arsehole. Comments. Comment 1. There's a particular kind of man who thinks enduring something gives him moral ownership over it. That's you. You think that because you stayed during Ellen's illness, you're owed something: money, loyalty, obedience. But caregiving isn't a transaction. That's not love. That's a bank account with resentment as interest. And now, your whole life is burning down because you can't accept that the people you raised aren't going to bend over backwards and throw you a parade for doing the bare minimum of being a decent partner and stepfather. You don't want reconciliation, you want leverage. You want them to admit you're the hero in a story you never really believed in to begin with. But here's the truth. They saw who you really were the second they stopped being useful to you. And so did Carol. That's why everyone's gone. Not because they're cruel, but because you're exhausted with your own bitterness and using everyone else as the target. Comment 2. I actually almost felt bad for you. Medical debt, family fallout, job loss, it's a lot. But then you kept talking. And the deeper into your self-pity spiral you went, the more obvious it became that this was all going to happen no matter what. You were always going to blow it up. The inheritance was just the match. You never dealt with your grief. You never processed the years of resentment. You never forgave Ellen for being sick, and you sure as hell never forgave her kids for existing. All they did was follow the law, and you responded with emotional arson, trying to burn every bridge so no one else could walk away without stepping through fire. And now you're alone. And you still think that proves you were right. It doesn't. It proves you were intolerable. You didn't just push people away. You pulled the damn eject lever. Repeatedly. No wonder they all bailed. Comment 3. Honestly. You lost me the second you described your dying wife as a vegetable who didn't meet your needs. You didn't love her, you tolerated her. And you resented every second of it. And let's talk about that damn letter. She knew who you were. She knew you'd bury it. She even sent a copy to her sister, just in case. And what did you do when you found it? You shoved it in a drawer like it was evidence of a crime. That wasn't her betraying you. That was her trying to make peace in a house where she probably knew she was already a ghost. You didn't just lose everything because of the kids. You lost everything because the version of you that people clung to, the husband, the father, the provider, stopped existing the second you stopped feeling in control. And now you're just screaming into the void, demanding the world apologize for your pain. Second story. My delusional sister brought a con artist guru on family Thanksgiving. He pulled cheating stories out of his arse about my family members to get them to join us in his cult. So my dad kicked him out, and my sister made a group chat demanding to heal as a family. So my dad made a group chat without her for an intervention. It messed up the whole family. So, you asked for some drama. My sister took the cake this year. Let me tell you how it went with the spicy details so you can feel like you were there. Here we go. My family is already dramatic on a normal Thursday, so holidays are basically boss-level chaos. My sister has been finding herself lately. Yoga, journaling, sage, we support it, whatever. But then she got this spiritual advisor, who she claims helped her release ancestral trauma after 3 sessions and $600. Cool. Love that for her. We all go to our mums for Thanksgiving. Other family members could probably host, but her house is the biggest. Everyone knows to be there at noon. Some of us show up early. So, yesterday it's 2 p.m., food's in the oven, everyone's arrived, and we're just waiting on my sister. She's always fashionably late, as she calls it, but never arrives in any type of fashion despite my mum's strict dress code of semi-formal. The doorbell rings. She walks in with this man, mid-40s, barefoot in November, wearing what looks like a crocheted poncho and like 40 necklaces. He introduces himself as River Wolf. My mum, trying so hard to be polite, goes, "Oh, you must be a friend." He goes, "No, I'm her guide." My dad's face. Buffering icon. We don't even try to make small talk, as it's almost time to eat. So my mum tries in her best host voice to move us all to the dining room. We sit down to eat. Before anyone can touch a roll, River Wolf stands up and says he needs to cleanse the table energy. He starts waving smoke everywhere, walking all around us, in between us and across the table, cleansing with this gross-smelling incense. My nephew starts coughing. My mum's upset because she thinks the turkey is going to taste like incense. Then River Wolf stops mid-smoking and grabs a crystal from his pocket, holds it over my brother-in-law's head, and says, "You carry resentment for a woman who wronged you." My brother-in-law? Which woman? My sister yells at him, "Stay open." My sister-in-law yells louder, "Stay open to what?" Now everyone is screaming because apparently River Wolf felt cheating energy in the house. He refuses to say who and claims it will reveal itself. Chaos erupts at the table. My aunt immediately assumes it's her husband, which made me laugh, because WTF. River Wolf isn't even over your husband. My uncle insists it's actually my cousin's boyfriend. My cousin starts sobbing. Her boyfriend gets up and leaves. My sister-in-law is shooting daggers at her husband with River Wolf still standing over him in a trance. Everyone is yelling. Accusations go flying. My aunt throws a roll at my uncle, misses and hits the drink table. The dog eats the roll, and the drinks pour onto the carpet. The turkey gets cold. And I'm staring at my sister in shock. She doesn't move a muscle, just stares off into space. My mum is frozen in place, watching the chaos unfold. No one is eating but my little brother, who is laughing hysterically, saying this was the best holiday ever. We try to get through dinner and the rest of the night. Dessert time was awkward, to say the least. River Wolf ends the night by telling my sister she needs to disconnect from the toxins in her bloodline. My mum goes, "Are we the toxins?" He nods. My mum goes red with anger. My dad tells my sister she needs to leave and that she ruined Thanksgiving. My sister is offended that no one is respecting her journey. Everyone else is offended that she brought a barefoot homewrecker to a federal holiday. She left in tears. My dad said he's canceling Christmas. Sister has been calling me all day trying to talk, and I'm over it. Mom is done, and Dad is so close to disowning her. Can't wait for New Year's. That one is still on. Update 1. So Sister sent a group text that River said we need to heal as a family. So she is going to have a family circle at her house tonight, and we all need to be there. And to bring an open heart. Cue my dad. He makes a new group text without my sister, saying we are going. But it's going to be an intervention instead, and to not tell my sister. We'll keep you all posted. Comments. Commenter 1. It would have been even funnier if someone from the family pulled out a crystal and turned it back on River Wolf. I'm sensing an aura of dishonesty. To clear out your own toxins, you must shun worldly possessions and must never accept payment for your services. You are, what we call in the industry, a scam artist. Commenter 2. Holy moly. WOOA. What I would give to have been a fly on the wall for this. Please let us know if you have an update. Please, you should answer the phone and ask your sister how she expected that to go. Update. I promised an update, so let me write it out now, while it's still fresh in my memory. Try to read the images last, or you may not understand without the context. For context, I did post a mini update to the bottom of that post update. So Sister sent a group text that River said we need to heal as a family. So she is going to have a family circle at her house tonight, and we all need to be there. And to bring an open heart. Cue my dad. He makes a new group text without my sister, saying we are going. But it's going to be an intervention instead, and to not tell my sister. We'll keep you all posted. We all caught up. Good. Here we go. The intervention. I seriously don't know when or if this is going to end, honestly. We gave it a valiant effort. So after Thanksgiving's crystal-infused meltdown, we all agreed silently, mentally, spiritually, whatever that we were done with River Wolf. Except my sister. Of course. We get a group text from her. River says we all need to heal together. Family circle tonight at my place. Bring an open heart. Ma'am, what I need to bring is pepper spray. This is where my dad made the separate group chat that we are all indeed going. But what she doesn't know is that it will be an intervention into my sister's latest shenanigans. And this sleaze River Wolf. Me, my dad, mom, aunt and uncle, little brother, and, ironically, 3 of my cousins went to Sis's family circle. Sis greets us at the door with fresh tears in her eye and a fake Academy Award-winning smile. I'm so glad you came. Please come inside and release your negativity at the door. We step inside. Her living room is devoid of furniture, and a circle of pillows is waiting for us. She has on some odd flute music playing, and more of that hideous incense from Thanksgiving is burning. Please, sit, she tells us. We all pick a pillow, watching my dad carefully for any cue on what we need to do. She grabs a tray of the ugliest teacups I have seen in my life, handing us each one. This is therapeutic tea made from ashwagandha and River's own special blend. I internally gag, smell the liquid, then literally gag at the smell. It smelled like green tea was trying to have a baby with a stinky sock. After all of us are seated with our probably laced tea inside Goodwill Reject cups in our hands, my sister steps into the circle and tells us something about the circle being a safe place, and that we as a family need to heal. Blah blah blah. Mom asks where River is. My sis says he will be joining us later, as this is a moment for just family. My dad finally stands up, stares at my sister, and tells her, "Sweetheart, we are worried about your choices." My sister's nostrils flare like she's about to summon River Wolf through a mirror. Before anyone can gently ease into things, my aunt, who has never eased into anything in her life, blurts out, "River is a con man." We all freeze. Sis seems to turn to aunt in slow motion and goes, "Is this a spiritual betrayal circle, honestly?" Points for accuracy. Mum tries for therapeutic mode. My mum strings together the gentlest sentence she can. "Honey, we think he's taking advantage of you." My sister responds like we accused her of tax fraud. River Wolf is a vibration. My aunt whispers, "So is my ex-husband." Little bro loses his SHT. Dad gives him a quick glare, and mum gives him the mum stare. He shuts up quick. Brother-in-law, her husband, finally snaps. He's been in the doorway like an NPC waiting to trigger dialogue. He finally steps forward and says, "He buried our car keys in the yard to free us from capitalism." My sister gasps like he kicked a baby deer. "You were supposed to trust the process," he goes. "The process cost me 6 hours and a metal detector." Dad tries again. "You've changed your number 3 times. You insist on being called Celestial Daughter of the Seventh Path." My sister interrupts. It's my ascended name. Dad continues. You've begun referring to the refrigerator as an energy prison. I swear she hissed at him. She tries to bolt. Brother-in-law blocks the door. Sis scrambles for the back door, which she had blocked with a love seat to make her family circle. She attempts to leap over it. Fails dramatically. Rolls into a pile of throw pillows like a dying stage actress. Screams. Let me ascend. I sip my tea. Someone had to stay hydrated. Side note. Probably shouldn't have done that. I'm going to need to call my doc on Monday and probably bring a sample. Dad walks over, pulls my sister to her feet and says very sternly, You need to see these news articles, and shows her his phone. She was hesitant at first, but finally started reading. Her face went through a kaleidoscope of emotions before she threw the phone down, yelling, I don't believe you, before scrambling to the front door again. Brother-in-law has had enough. He opens the door, letting her sprint outside. I swear her crying sounded like an old noisemaker echoing down the street, in that vacuum cleaner trying to swallow a Lego way. Brother-in-law looks at all of us, apologizing, and says we tried. Dad shrugs it off. Mom is crying again. We decide it's best to head out. If Sis won't come to her senses with our help, she's going to have to figure this one out on her own. We say our goodbyes and head our separate ways. I figured Sis would reach back out to me at some point. I was hoping for tomorrow. But I was wrong. She texted me within moments of me leaving, and just read them for yourself. Pretty sure Sis is on the loony wagon departing for Crazy Town, if not having arrived already. Oh, and she left me on read. The texts. Transcript of the text messages between OP and their sister. Sister. Are you ducking kidding me? You guys staged an intervention at my house. At my family circle for healing. Just when I thought you guys wouldn't stoop any lower, you pull this. Like I'm some addict. And River is not a scam artist. He told me. Those articles you found were fake. OP. Yes, name, we did. It was actually Dad's idea. This has gone on long enough. OP. You need to get your head out of your arse and see that he is a grifter. Name. OP. Those news articles are real. Sister. I can't believe you guys. He is not a grifter. And for you all to gang up on me like that? What is wrong with you? OP. Name, he's using you. Sister. Stop. Just stop, OP. You guys are so full of SHT. River told me you guys would do this. OP. Do what? Corner you? Tell you you are being used by a con artist. Sister. No. He said you'd all try to sabotage my happiness. OP. OMG, you have got to be kidding me. We did this because we want you to be happy, not used by a con artist for $1,200 an hour in life coach lessons. Sister. Lemphao. Name 1 and name 2 don't agree. He's done wonders for them too. OP. Wait. Who TF are name 1 and name 2? Sister. His followers. OP. OMG sister, you're in a cult. Sister. River Wolf is not a cult leader. He is a cosmic architect. OP. I literally watched him steal your blender. Sister. It wanted to leave. OP. Sister, you can't be serious. Now you're just in denial. Sister. Wow. Just wow. I hope you're happy with yourself because I have never felt so betrayed in my entire life. You, of all people, teaming up with them behind my back. You sat there and let them attack my spiritual path like it's some kind of joke. Do you even understand what you did? Do you even care? I trusted you. I told you things I haven't told anyone, and you turned it into some kind of family circus ambush. River Wolf warned me someone close would try to dim my ascension, and I cannot believe it was you. You've always pretended to support me, but clearly you're just like the rest of them. Congratulations on helping them destroy what little piece I had left. Don't contact me. Don't text me. Don't speak to me until you're ready to apologize for trying to sabotage my awakening. I'm spending the solstice in silence and reflection. Enjoy your small-minded drama. Your former sister. Since apparently I have to be reborn without you. OP. Wow, okay. First of all, I didn't sabotage your awakening. I just refused to let you bring a barefoot blender thief into our family again, and hoped you'd listen to reason. If that counts as spiritual oppression, then I'm absolutely guilty. When you're done spending the solstice communing with your chakras or whatever, you're welcome to come back to real life, where people use their legal names and don't bury car keys as therapy. Until then, may your crystals stay charged, and your appliances stay unstolen. Also, Mum says you're in charge of bringing the Tiki tokens this year. Name asked, I guess. Sister. FUOP. OP. That kind of language dims my positive outlook on life. Former sister. Stop diminishing my chance of a better future. Sister. OP. Sounds effing stupid, doesn't it? End of transcript. Comments. Commenter 1. The blender wanted to leave. Oh my god, I'm sorry. But I'm laughing so hard the dog is freaked. And I need to find the tissues because I'm crying. Seriously though, how has your Bill kept from showing her guide, the great outdoors, via a trip through the windows? The man must have the patience of a saint. We know this isn't the end of the insanity. But hopefully, she'll give it a break for a bit. If not, we're here to support you through the cultiness. OP Elmau, trust me. The blender absolutely filed for emancipation, the second river wolf whispered to it. That thing practically jumped into his tote bag. I'm pretty sure it's making smoothies for the collective now. And yes, my Bill deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, a vacation, and maybe a restraining order starter kit. I've honestly never seen a man breathe through that much rage. He just stands there blinking like his soul is buffering whenever River Wolf speaks. Last time River Wolf tried to cleanse the house's aura, Bill just stared out the window like he was debating whether he should be the one to leave. And don't worry. This is absolutely not the end. If I had to guess, River Wolf is probably somewhere right now trying to convince a microwave it's trapped in a heat prison. I'll keep you all updated. Stay hydrated and emotionally grounded. Someone in this family has to be. Commenter 2. Last time River Wolf tried to cleanse the house's aura, Bill just stared out the window like he was debating whether he should be the one to leave. But I thought you only met him a day ago. OP me, yes. My Bill, no. You don't think we didn't talk after the intervention fiasco? We just learned about car keys getting buried that day. We had lots of questions. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.